not all heroes are necessarily blessed with outstanding intelligence or incredible combat aptitude. For some, the answer literally fell in their lap, while others actually benefited from their ignorance, and a few took a blind, stupid stab in the dark which inexplicably paid off. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 movie heroes who won by dumb luck. Number 10. Lloyd and Harry in Dumb and Dumber. Let's kick things off with a movie that makes no bones at all about the stupidity of its protagonists, whose thunderous obliviousness is ultimately what keeps them alive. After Lloyd and Harry intercept what they believe to be lost luggage belonging to Lloyd's crush Mary Swanson, they're pursued by 2 kidnappers because the luggage was actually ransom money for Mary's kidnapped husband. One of the kidnappers, Mental, then poses as a hitchhiker who Lloyd and Harry pick up, and believing the pair to be ill-intentioned thieves, plots to kill them by dosing their next meal with rat poison. But at the diner where they eat, Lloyd and Harry place chili peppers in his burger without his knowledge, causing a severe reaction with Mental's stomach ulcer. As he doubles over in pain and asks them to find his pills, they accidentally shove rat poison pellets into his mouth, killing him. From there, the cops believe Harry and Lloyd to be murderers and plot to catch them, but Lloyd takes a wrong turn while driving and unknowingly avoids their trap. Next, they only find out the briefcase has money in it after accidentally breaking it open during a fight, and when they're eventually caught by the kidnappers again, Harry is only saved from death because the FBI approached him in the hotel lobby and gave him a bulletproof vest and gun. Hilariously, when considering what would have happened if he'd been shot in the face, FBI agent Jordan tells him that was a risk we were willing to take. Dumb luck indeed. Though Lloyd ultimately doesn't get the girl, what with Mary being married and all, the pair clearly still came out on top, all things considered. Number 9. Sally Hardesty in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For all intents and purposes, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's protagonist Sally Hardesty should have been certified dead meat just like all of her pals. But Sally gets a weapons-grade dose of luck in the final stretch, when the Sawyer family faffs about arranging her death. Despite originally planning to have Grandpa Sawyer beat her to death with a hammer, he proves too weak and simply drops it, giving Sally a vital moment to break free and make a run for it. Her ordeal is far from over then though. Leatherface and the hitchhiker chase Sally, but luckily for her, a truck driver hurtles down the road and hits the hitchhiker, killing him instantly. Additionally, he stops to help Sally, throwing a wrench at Leatherface which causes him to cut his own leg with his chainsaw, giving Sally precious seconds to hail another truck and book it to safety. Had things gone even slightly differently, the Sawyers surely would have grabbed Sally on the road and dragged her back inside with ease. Number 8. Alan, Ellie, Tim and Lex in Jurassic Park. At the end of Jurassic Park, the 4 focal humans are basically screwed. Alan, Ellie, Tim and Lex are cornered by a pack of raptors while defenseless and mere seconds away from becoming dino food. But in one of cinema's all-time great Deus Ex Machina moments, the T-Rex inexplicably appears out of nowhere and devours the raptors, giving the heroes time to flee into John Hammond's waiting jeep. Ultimately, the humans were really just caught in the middle of nature, albeit a perverted form of nature, playing out. But the T-Rex's sudden arrival gave them the seconds they needed to get the hell out of Dodge and make it home safely. It scarcely makes a lick of sense how nobody heard the T-Rex coming, or how it physically even made it inside the visitor center, but all this really does is compound the sheer improbable dumb luck involved. In this story, survival was most certainly victory, even if for humanity as a whole, the Jurassic Park experiment can most certainly be called a failure, especially considering what happens later in the series. Number 7. The Ghostbusters in Ghostbusters. In Ghostbusters, Egon memorably instructs his fellow ghostbusting heroes not to cross the streams of their proton packs because something bad will happen. When Peter presses him to elaborate, he tells him thus: "Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light." But at the very end of the movie, when Gozer has assumed the Godzilla-like form of the Stay Puffy Marshmallow Man, Egon surmises they've got no choice but to try and destroy Gozer's dimensional gate by crossing the streams. Given that they will definitely die if they don't do anything, it's a total Hail Mary pass, rooted not so much in informed science but a desperate prayer, with Egon adding that there's only a very slim chance they'll survive. But as it turns out, the last-ditch ploy works, with Gozer being defeated, the gate closing, and New York City being saved, while the Ghostbusters are hailed as heroes. As undeniably smart as they are, or rather Egon is, this was a ridiculous moonshot of a plan that just so happened to pay off. Number 6. Jaguar Paw in Apocalypto. Though Apocalypto's embattled protagonist Jaguar Paw certainly puts up one hell of a fight, there's no denying that he's massively outnumbered in his quest to rescue his pregnant wife and young son from a band of Mayan raiders. Jaguar Paw sets a number of traps to thin the raiders' numbers, but two survive and continue to chase him towards the coast, all while heavy rainfall threatens to drown Jaguar Paw's family, who are stashed inside a cenote filling with rainwater. Yet the hunt comes to an abrupt end when Jaguar Paw and his two pursuers reach the coast, just as a large fleet of Spanish conquistadors arrive on the land. The raiders immediately ignore Jaguar Paw and head towards the incoming fleet, giving him the opportunity to sprint back to his family, retrieve them, and meet his newborn son for the first time. Between this and Jaguar Paw being saved from execution earlier in the movie by a solar eclipse, it's fair to say that he basically used up a lifetime's worth of absurd luck in a single day. Number 5. Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China. The great joy of John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China is that it's effectively centered around a sidekick, Jack Burton, who is under the deluded impression that he's actually a leading man action hero, despite his general lack of qualifying skills. Basically, all of Burton's involvement in the quest to stop sorcerer David Lopan is through happenstance, and when he finally kills him at film's end, it's basically a lucky shot. Burton first tries to end Lopan by throwing a knife at him, which easily misses. Lopan picks the knife up and confidently throws it back, but Burton is able to catch it and throw it straight back at Lopan again, this time hitting him square in the head and killing him instantly. Burton's inflated ego and functional uselessness are made hilariously apparent throughout the story, especially compared to his far more competent ally Wang, and in the end he basically kills Lopan by fluke. This in turn also causes the death of Lopan's underling Thunder, who upon finding his master dead swells up and explodes. You may be a dumb self-important lug, Jack Burton, but we wouldn't change a thing. Number 4. The Avengers in Avengers Endgame. In Avengers Infinity War, Doctor Strange identified the one possible future where the Avengers could defeat Thanos, and hilariously enough, that eventual victory is set in motion by a literal feat of pure chance. In Avengers Endgame, Scott Lang is freed from the quantum realm by absurd luck when a rat accidentally activates the portal in his impounded van. This of course tees up the rest of the movie, Scott making contact with the remaining Avengers in a post-snap world, and the whole time heist gambit which ends up successfully returning everyone wiped out by the blip. Now this isn't to say that the Avengers didn't put in quite the Herculean effort to defeat Thanos during the final battle, but none of it would have been possible without the literally 1 in 14 million odds of a rat first walking across a button. Were that lucky event not among the possible futures viewed by Strange, clearly the entire universe would have had no chance but to live with the blip. Number 3. Tucker and Dale in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is a film centered entirely around a hilarious spate of accidents and misunderstandings. As well-intentioned hillbillies, Tucker and Dale are mistaken for a pair of murderers by a group of college students. Through a series of unfortunate circumstances, the college students start getting themselves killed in various ridiculous ways as they flee the pair in a panic, no matter that there is in fact a real killer in their midst. Eventually, it's revealed that the real psycho is one of the students, Chad, and when he plots to kill his friend Allison, Dale foils him by throwing a box of chamomile tea at him, causing him to have an asthma attack and fall out of a window. Though Chad ultimately survives the fall, Tucker and Dale still manage to temporarily foil him, save Allison, and get to safety through the random fortune of an allergic reaction, in turn leading to Dale and Allison beginning a relationship. Number 2. Max in Collateral. On paper, Michael Mann's Collateral touts a hero-villain mismatch for the ages, as unassuming cabbie Max attempts to prevent expert assassin Vincent from killing his final target, federal prosecutor Annie Farrell, who also happens to be Max's love interest. You'd probably assume that Max would find a cunning way to outsmart Vincent, right? Except that's not really the case at all, and were it not for some random dumb luck, he would have been swiftly capped in the head during their final subway clash. Vincent pursues Max and Annie onto a subway train, and just as the hero and villain prepare to open fire at one another, the train's lights short out. This forces both men to blindly shoot their guns, and without the benefit of a sight line, it's entirely up to the fates who lives and who dies. When the lights flick back on, Vincent has been mortally wounded by a lucky shot fired by Max, while Max is miraculously totally unscathed. If not for some faulty wiring or a power outage on that subway train, Max and by extension Annie would have been easily toast. Number 1. Wallace Ritchie in The Man Who Knew Too Little. As its title blatantly suggests, The Man Who Knew Too Little is centered around a man whose stupidity effectively allows him to fail upwards enough that he eventually manages to save the world. Protagonist Wallace Ritchie finds himself mistaken for a spy while under the belief that he's taking part in an elaborate improv theatre exercise. The villain's plan involves detonating a bomb during a dinner between British and Russian dignitaries, in turn starting another Cold War. However, Wallace's decision to play along with the increasingly ridiculous scenario he finds himself in results in him grabbing the bomb in the climax and accidentally deactivating it, no matter that he could have very easily set it off. Between this and Wallace impressively avoiding being assassinated while having no belief that he's actually in danger, he's basically a luck magnet by film's end. Even in the final scene, he gets recruited by an American espionage firm after accidentally knocking out one of their agents posing as a waiter, yet while totally unaware of what's really going on. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed something, then do let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.